Hi, and welcome to the Your Story Studios podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things content creation. And today on the show, we are joined by a man who needs absolutely no introduction. But for those who may not know who you are you and what are you doing here?
G'day, Nathan. Thanks for having me on the podcast. My name's Constantine Ongarezos. I am the creative director at Constantine Films, doing mainly corporate case study videos. And I'm looking forward today to talk about all things video creation, content creation, gear as well. Looking forward for the chat.
Excellent. All right. So Constantine, tell me, how did you initially get into video production?
Yeah, I've been doing video production full time for about 7 to 8 years. In a previous life, I was an instructional designer. So for about 10 to 12 years in the corporate space, I was creating e-learns. I was a training facilitator, simulations in various corporate sectors. And I've always loved video though. So, I've got kids, 2 kids, and, I used to love filming them on the weekends and making sort of little videos like that. So I've always had an interest in filming. So I used to kind of weave into my training documentation and training modules and e-learns and so forth. I wanted to bring it to life a lot more than what it was on paper. So I would go around and film little things and put that into my training. And then videos just became more and more what I love to do and put into my learning. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I had an opportunity to work full-time. An old boss of mine went to a new company and he said, "They love a video here. Can you come on board?" I was full-time for 4 or 5 years doing video there. And about a year and a half ago, was made redundant in that workplace. And I had been doing sort of my own filming on the weekends and dabbled in that. And I've always thought about going full-time on my own at some point. And it was kind of something that was, I guess, forced. My hand was forced to go, you know what, I'm going to go on my own. I'm going to start my own business and give it a shot. And I think without that push, it's very difficult. I've got kids, a mortgage, going on your own, there isn't a reliable income as such that you can see month to month. It's a gamble, I guess, at the start, and you got to back yourself, right? So my wife at the time was like, okay, maybe you go back to instructional design, you go back to, getting that stable job and, you were good at it and, going forward, maybe that's what you do. And I was very close to doing that. And there was a point where I'm like, you know what, I've got to back myself. I've over the years, I accumulated the gear. So it wasn't works gear. And I gave it a shot. And, it's been about a year and a half and I'm making it work. It's going from strength to strength. I can see the growth. I've got great clients and hopefully it's onwards from there.
Beautiful. I love hearing that story. And tell me, what are you doing today in your business?
Yeah, so I mainly specialize in case study films, so telling a company's or a business's story from interviews and structuring that narrative around a good story. Good stories, you love a good story. And then bringing that to life through visuals, through drone work, B-roll on the ground. And I have a music background as well, so I do love kind of getting the emotion out of a film and using, the ebb and flow of a certain song to bring in, certain footage or a feeling, or I'm always trying to, get an emotion out of a viewer. So it's, for me, music's really important. So, I could spend a long time just making sure I've got that right choice, the right feeling. So yeah, look, I love to do case study films. It's not always viable to be doing that 100% of the time because most of my work probably, is corporate work. So I'm in the corporate space mainly, CEOs doing messages to their teams. Events is a good one as well. And I've also had to branch out into more photography as well. So they do say, you've got to niche down, to get that niche. But I think when you're first starting out, you can't really niche too hard, too early, I don't think, because you need experience in a wide range of types of filming. And in saying that, I've switched over my lenses to native Leica lenses on my Lumix cameras, just so I can make sure I've got the photography part down as well. So corporate headshots, I've been doing recently a few corporate headshot shoots, kind of like business stock footage type shoots in businesses as well. But yeah, what I love to do is case study films and telling people stories and bringing that to life through videos.
Yeah, you mentioned drone. Tell me about your drone experiences.
Yeah. So I don't overly use it. Like I've been flying drones for 5-6 years. Actually, 5 years. I got it around my 40th, so I'm mid-40s, giving my age away. But yeah, 5 years I've been flying. At first I'm going around, just getting footage at the beach and, you're having fun with it. But from a work perspective, it's more about getting an establishing shot where we are. So there was a time when I was full-time in this company that I work for, and my job was to go around the country and tell stories about businesses. And they're all remote. All of them are remote, middle of Queensland, middle of New South Wales. I went up to East Arnhem as well to do a film up in the Northern Territory, which is amazing. And yeah, no better way than a drone to, get a 5 or 6 seconds establishing where we are. And then most of it's, on the ground. And yeah, drones can be overused. So you just got to pick and choose where you want to use it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the narrative. It's the interview that's going to really bring the story. But yeah, I enjoy flying drones and but don't overuse drones is what I would say.
Yeah, I do find that drones really do add that extra level of production value, which is really helpful. I do use them occasionally in my shoots when I am legally allowed to, because I don't have a remote pilot's license or whatever it is. So I operate under the restricted rules. So that allows me to get very limited shots. Have you got the full?
Not the full. Like obviously, I'm licensed to fly for work commercially as well, so I've got that covered. Yeah, I don't have an official pilot license as such. So yeah, like you said, we can't fly in the city, and there's certain restrictions, or you need certain permits here and there. So you're right. Obviously, you can't take off and land in a Vic Park protected area, and we know all the rules. But yeah, keep it limited. There's obviously things we can and can't do, but enough to, get that epic shot that, really it's the icing on the cake, I think, for some of these visuals and films as well.
Yeah, and it's becoming a lot more expected from clients, I find, these days as well. Like they'll ask, can we get a drone shot of this? And a lot of the time I'll say, yes, but yeah, or maybe. It just depends on, exactly as you just said, can't film in built up areas and all that kind of stuff. If you were to get a client to ask you to do something like that, do you have a list of people where you'd go to be able to collaborate with?
Yeah, I mean, over the last year or so, we've got this great group of Melbourne video freelancers, and I'll talk about that a little bit in more detail further on.
In another episode. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, it's a great group. So there's a lot of great drone pilots in that group that I probably would call on if it was something a little bit more high end, or it was more that was the job. But yeah, it's good to have a network of other videographers and drone pilots that you can call on, and under your name, I guess, as well. Like if you're getting the job, it's great to have a team of people that you can call on that are reliable, and obviously they're working under your name in a job as well. So you've got to trust them and trust in their work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You also mentioned before music and how it's a big part of your video production. Talk me through that, because I have an appreciation for music, and I also know that I could spend a whole day looking for an audio track, and then I send it through to the client, and then they say, love the video, can we just change the music? So I've had that happen probably one too many times, and these days I just kind of know the type of music that I want, and I use a service called Soundstripe, and I'll just put in the filters like what kind of track I'm looking for, so upbeat, happy, that kind of stuff, and then I'll literally spend a few minutes just play, no, next, next. Oh, that sounds all right. Let's see what they think. And then I put it in, and I've had pretty good success with that. So I try my best not to spend too much time on music. What do you do? What's your process?
Yeah, so look, I subscribe to two services, so Music Bed and Artlist. I've had Artlist for 4, 5, 6 years, and it's always been a great go-to. I always liken it to the Spotify of music subscriptions. It was one of the first ones too, I think, to do that tagging, like mood and genre and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of one of the original ones. But lately, probably the last 6 months, I've upped it and I'm subscribing to Music Bed. Not sponsored in any way for this podcast, but yeah, I'd say hands down the best.
No promo code?
No promo code. Yeah, I need to work on those little extra add-ons. Yeah, no, look, you pay for what you get, right? It's expensive, but the music there is at such a high quality. You could spend hours trying to find a song, and, time is money, and you want to make sure you want to get on with the project. And Music Bed's, great for getting that extra polish, that quality song. It sounds like something to be on the radio, that type of quality. So it's always my first go-to. But I would say, when you were mentioning before about the client, get it across them as soon as you can, get that approval. There's nothing worse than doing an edit, especially if it's like to a beat, if it's a hype reel, and music's such a big factor to the cuts and the flow and the pacing. And then the client comes back going, yeah, it's great, but we don't like music. And then you're spending hours deconstructing your song and the edits, and it's a nightmare. So I would say, get your song across to your client, get that approved, and then hopefully you're away. But that's my advice.
Yeah. Great advice. I will take that on board. I do sometimes if the music is mission critical and it needs to, like, it's the backbone of the video, then I will get approval. But a lot of the time with the videos that I do, so like client testimonials, training, that kind of stuff, if there is music in the background, a lot of the time I'll just make sure that it has I'll ask what kind of mood they want and then get approval on that. And then I'll just make the music really low. And so like there's something there, but it's not overpowering the vocal, the voice or anything like that. And a lot of the time, the clients are happy, but then there is always that 1 out of 100 time or whatever, where they say, oh, love it, but
I love, so I edit in Premiere. And I love the I can't remember what it's called now. When you
remix,
the remix function. Oh my god, that's a game changer, because I used to get the song and then you'd find where the beat and I mean, sometimes I do that manually anyway, because you don't want an AI to kind of do it for you. But I mean, for the listeners and the viewers, so for example, the edit comes down to 3 minutes. You've got the perfect song, but the song goes for 4.5 minutes. And in the old days,
2 minutes.
Or 2 minutes, a good example. It could be shorter. In the old days, I would sit there and, I would cut up, zoom in right to the beat and then go, okay, I love that section. And then you're basically remixing it yourself. But now, with Premiere, and I don't know if any other programs.
I don't know, I use Premiere.
Yeah, the DaVinci does the same thing, but basically it'll remix it to, you type in the length of the song and it will basically put that song pretty close to that length. And then it makes it a lot easier to sort of fade out or change it up.
Yeah, if you don't have a music background like myself, that tool is really helpful. I did learn over the years before that tool became available to look through the waveform and be like, all right, we'll get rid of this and we'll put that in and we'll put a fade here and that doesn't sound right, we'll move this and all that. So
and there's still keyframing. Obviously, I don't use the auto ducking functionality in it. Like I do keyframe the ups and flow with the voice and the mood of the film, and so there's a lot of keyframing with the song itself. But that's a great function.
Yeah, AI tools are great when they work and don't enslave humanity. So
and I love to. So I've got a music audio engineering background as well. So I also love to use a suite of mastering tools at the end of my process. So I use iZotope for mastering, and it's great. For music, and you got sound effects and you got voiceover and the levels can be a little bit all over the place, but this will just compress it all a little bit for you and make it, get to that level of, video production or audio production that you want. It's consistent as well. So that's,
Yeah. So hearing you talk about all this audio stuff, it brings to mind that a lot of video producers, they focus on the visuals, but it sounds like you focus on visuals and audio quite equally. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, yes and no. Like I don't go to town on sound design every time. Like sometimes, it could be a corporate internal video and there's hardly any sound design. So I kind of pick and choose my spots because it can be quite time consuming. But I love, scrolling through Artlist in the sound effects catalog because, when you're out shooting, you're not always, especially with B-roll stuff, you're not filming for the audio a lot of the time, and you get back and you're like, oh, that looks amazing, but I don't have a really clean, door closing or opening or car door closing or, whatever. So you can hop onto, Artlist and go through the sound design, sound effects catalog, and I love going through that. And, if you listen to a video without any sound effects at all, it can be quite dull. Or I guess reverse that. If you listen to a song and you take away all the sound, you might not realize what's there, but when you put it in, you go, oh my God, what a difference it makes. So sometimes it can be really subtle. It might not be something obvious, but if you take that away and you compare the differences between two videos that has heavy sound design and one that doesn't, it's, and that you can't get that emotion and that feeling, I think, without sound. Like, it's another sense that we have, and utilize it as much as you can in your videos, because you'd be surprised at how much you can immerse your viewer into what you're watching by making them feel like they're there. So for example, even little subtle things like ambient sound. So if you're doing a short film and they're outside and then going inside and then they're outside and going inside, scroll and look, try and find an ambient in a park and, birds chirping and it might be just that extra little frequency that the bird is chirping or the ocean or a sound that you hardly even know that's there, but that it makes all the difference and it makes you feel like you're outside, so little things like that.
Yeah, awesome. And now looking to the future, where do you see Constantine Films going?
Good question. Look, I've been doing, 100% full-time on my own as my business for the last year and a half. And my initial goal was I just kind of want to match where I was at in terms of income, let's be honest, per month going forward to be able to sustain the work I do. I love doing what I'm doing, but you've also, you've got a life, you've got, family and kids and, you've got to provide for them as well. So initially it was about trying to match that income to see how I could go. And I'm there or thereabouts, which is great. So I want to continue that obviously. But look, in terms of going forward and the growth, I'm in a good place at the moment. Obviously I know there are times where I'm like, I'm so busy, I could do with another, helper or, outsourcing the editing maybe. I never want to lose that filming out there. Like I love both, right? So filming and editing, as you know, they're very different. It's like we have two jobs, right? So filming is hands-on, it's physical, it's creative. You're looking around trying to find angles and, light, you're looking at light and you're changing lenses and you're changing cameras and, lighting. Like I love doing interview lighting setups and, trying to shape the light and all that sort of stuff. So there's that part of it. And the other part's editing, right? So you get it back to your desk and then you kind of lay it all out. What have we got? Trying to figure out, and at the beginning, I've kind of in a little bit of a tangent, but at the beginning, you're kind of looking at it going, where do I start sometimes, especially with a film, like, obviously you've got the interview and you've got to cut that down and shape it and stuff. But they're very two different things. So editing, I'm locked away in my room for days on end in a dark room editing, and then the other half is out clients and meeting people. And so I love both sides of it. But at some point to grow, and a natural progression is, you bring people into your business and strength in numbers, obviously it's going to help with the workload if you're getting too much work, but also you physically can't do everything on your own. If you get to a certain point, and at the moment I'm okay with where I am, but I can see it's growing, and at some point I'm going to have help with either the editing or the filming. And like I said, I enjoy the filming. The editing, I was always an editor at heart, so that's kind of where I started. I've been editing for 20 or 25 years. I've been an editor, and the filming's probably the last 8 to 10 years. So I love both, but at some point the business is going to grow and bringing other people in, and that's where the Melbourne Video Freelancers Group comes in, where you've got a pool of a network of reliable professionals that and trust and can rely on to come and help you and under your business as well. So yeah, look, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm making it work. Growth, in the future would be great. At the moment, I'm happy and making it work.
Excellent. You mentioned that this role requires you to be technical and hands-on, but then also the people as well.
Yeah,
that can be quite the challenge. How do you navigate that?
I've always said, people hire people, right? So you can be great with a camera, but also you've got to deal with clients, and in my space, it's the corporate world. So you're filming CEOs of big corporate companies, right? You've got to present yourself well. You've got to be well liked. So if they might get you back because you've done a good edit or you produce something for them. At the end of the day, we provide a service, right? We film, we edit, we give them a video, they put it up on their social media. It's a service that we provide, but also they want to have fun with you. You want to make it an enjoyable experience. You've got to be good with people. You've got to, people are going to like you. They want you back. Like I said, yes, they want you back for your service, but I'm hoping that I've got repeat customers because they enjoy working with me. And I've had that, said to me a few times with different clients that, I want to do more video because I enjoyed the process. You've got to be open and honest with them from the start. And also, show up on time, if not early. Like I'm always there earlier. They say, I'll give you an hour to set up. I'm like, can I have 2 hours? Because I just want to get the lighting right. And so I'm always there, much earlier. And I take my time setting up and make sure, everything, the lights and the cameras and everything is is how I like it. But
yeah, well, some of my clients, I get 15 minutes to set up, maybe even less.
it's a luxury. Like it's not always the case. I mean, if you've got the time, that's great. But you know, we've got a lot of gear, and you know, if you're on your own like myself, a lot of the work I do, I'm setting up the lights, the microphones, the cameras. You know, I'm running 3 cameras at times, sometimes at events, and then packing it all up on your own. So it's time consuming, but you know, that keeps you fit. You've got to be in fit condition to carry all the gear and move around. And but yeah, that's definitely something that I'm enjoying and want to continue.
Excellent. And to finish off today's episode, Constantine, have you got any words of advice for our audience today?
Never stop learning. So for me, I'm always wanting to get. I mean, everyone wants to get better at what they do, right? But I think I'm conditioned to, I'm always wanting to learn. Like, you know, I'm on YouTube watching how to film and light better. In any free time that I've got, I'm wanting to get better at my craft, at filming, lighting, editing tips. There's new ways of editing. You see, you know, different styles coming through. You know, you've got to really be up to speed with the latest, you know, not so much trends. You don't always have to be on the latest trends, but just, you know, gear as well. Like I've tried not to, you know, spend too much gear lately in the last couple of years. But look, just every time I'm filming and I come back and I'm looking at what I filmed, I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. You know, you've got to have a bit of a benchmark for yourself. But I guess, you know, in terms of advice, you know, don't settle on your last job or your last footage and you think, oh, that's brilliant. I'm the best. You know, that's it. I can't get any better. I never look at it like that. It's every time I'm out there, every time I'm filming and coming back to, you know, looking at what I filmed, I'm always going, oh, I could have done it like this. And I'm always wanting the next job, the next production, the next video, the next film to be even better. And it's kind of hard to keep pushing yourself, you know, moving up and up a ladder like that. But I don't think there's any way that you don't improve and, you know, you get as best as you can at what you do by settling. And I never settle on kind of what I do and want to improve. And I guess it's my learning and training background, and training development background is training and, you know, learning, and I'm always wanting to learn new things. So keep learning. Don't sit still and move forward and get as best as you can.
Yeah, try to be 1% better with every video you do.
Yeah, you add that up, and you know, within a year or two, like that's you know, a massive increase. So never settle.
Excellent. Well, Constantine, thank you for joining us on the Your Story Studios podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me.